Hi guys, my name is Tom Cully. I work right here at BigCommerce. Thanks to Ted for I am the creator of the Mozart framework, which this talk has absolutely nothing to do with. So tonight we're going to talk about BDD and TDD as a creative tool, quality for volatiles. Just a show of hands, who made it to Webstock in February, New Zealand? Anybody? God, just one. One of the speakers there, Michael Lobb, you probably heard of him. Awesome presentation on this concept that there's two different types of developers, two different types of engineer really. You have stables and you have volatiles. Now we know these guys, you work with them. You're one of the two of them, maybe you're both. Stables, they're disciplined, they're protective of their code, they're conservative, they cross the T's, they dot the I's. You know, they're the workhorses of the entire organization. It's what they do. Sometimes they're rarely inspired, whereas volatiles, they're the genius and Mars types. They'll do a couple of months' worth of work in an afternoon, given suitable caffeine and motivation. Here's the problem. Stables, because they're protective of their code and that sort of way, volatiles, they generate a lot of stuff, and these guys don't get on. Michael's talk about the whole thing changed my perspective on the way to look at these people. We all know BDD and TDD. Great way to improve quality, great way to document your code as you're going along, that sort of stuff. These two personas have very different ways to see this. Stables love TDD and BDD. Fast quantities of specs tests should be written in advance, code that is unplanned. Without 100% coverage, it isn't software. They want everything tied down completely. Volatiles, very different. Tests are boring, along with a boilerplate. I just want to create stuff. I just want to do things. But I don't want to write tests. I don't want to stop in the middle of my process and go, how do I do this? Do I need to put specs and tests in first and then write? So I just want to get in there and do it. And that can be a problem. It fucks with my process. So how do we change this? How do we get better quality? Rehab for the cynical volatile. Specs can be part of the creative process, and this is the concept I want to pitch to you tonight. Volatiles can go from A to D without having to go through B and C. The solution arrives fully formed in your head, and you just burn out code. This is a problem if you want to do TDD and BDD, because you have to do the specs first. Red, green refactor, we know the score. You can use specs, tests, to actually clarify the way you're thinking about it. Expect stuff to be awesome. Start this a very simple way. Thank you, Prezi. I really had a flow there for a second. Literally, why not do this? Describe an application. Write a spec first. Say, I want to write something. I've got this great idea. I've woken up at 3 in the morning. I want to bounce in and do this the next day. No problem. So, just write one spec. Go describe an application. It should have a service. And use this process. Writing specs not just to actually generate code and specs in the first place, but actually to clarify your thought process, to think through the whole thing. Maybe this application's a web app. It should have a service. It should maybe have a Mozart front end. You see the pitch there. Describe the service, and you can start to break it down. Maybe this service should be written in Express. Maybe it should have access to a Mongo database. And you can go all the way down through the process. The idea being, once you know that you want to tie up to a database, so you write a specification. You write an actual spec, which says, right, let's connect to this database and do something. It should have a Mozart framework. You can write in your next spec. Say, right, we'll download Mozart empty. Let's start with that. That's tied up to an endpoint. Let's put it to Heroku. And all the way through the process until you actually start writing code. That can happen within a couple of minutes if you're being creative about it and you have a record of what you've done. If you decide, oh, no, tell you what, solid Express, I'm going to do it in Rails. Go back, change the spec, do the entire thing. You have a record of what's happened there, especially if you're committing it all the time to GitHub or whatever else using your source control. And it's a simple little concept. It sounds really easy, sounds really obvious. But the thing is, people still don't do it. What I'm pitching to you, next time you have an idea, that 3 in the morning sort of stuff, just write a spec first. Just do it. If I can, yeah, good. Don't worry, be happy, just write your specs. Thank you for listening. I'm Tom Cully, at Tom Dionysus. Any questions?